Noise, toys and boys. Motocross is a man's world.
Boys will be boys.
But for Jo Bastic, with 4 bike-crazy sons under 12, it's how she spends most weekends. She's wanted a daughter for years.
As much as I love the boys, and they will always have priority. I mean, it's not that I don't love them. They'll always be my family, but I'll always want a daughter as well.
It was here in the shadow of Mount Rushmore that the sexing industry got started. At home on his 11,000-acre ranch, a scientist pondered on the efforts local cattle farmers made to select the sex of calves. Inspired by their example, Ron Erickson came up with a technique for selecting the sex of babies and made a small fortune.
Being a capitalist isn't always bad. There is nothing wrong with putting science to work. And we're not going to apologize for it.
When he first started, back in the 70s, critics warned him he'd skew the balance of the human race, that everyone would want little boys. But the professor was undeterred.
Less than 1 out of 100 of the people that use this technology does so for a firstborn male. And almost all of them want the sex of the child they don't have. And the request for girls is slightly greater than it is for boys. If there's any concern, it ought to be for the males being eliminated in the future, because a lot of women no longer think we're necessary. Maybe we aren't.
Such is the demand for sex selection from parents that Ron's empire even extends to the suburbs of North London. And 3 years ago, Jo Bastic made her way here, to the London Gender Clinic.
I'd learnt about it through the local paper. There was somebody that lives locally that had a little girl having been to the London Gender Clinic, and I just thought it was worth a go.
From this converted semi, a doctor and a scientist paid Ron his $15,000 license fee and set up a service offering Erickson's sperm selection to British customers. The apricot bathroom is the insemination suite. The living room is used for consultations. The doctor's medical qualifications are proudly mounted on the walls.
We don't require a license, but we have our own self-imposed guidelines. We expect all the couples to be married, if not married, in a long-term stable relationship. They all have to have at least 1 child. We won't treat the first child. And we only treat to balance the sex in a family, not to distort it.
Oh, hello, Alan. How are you?
All right.
The patient's in the consultation.
Dr. Rose treated Jo Bastic. Her husband's sperm was sorted to select the females, and Jo was inseminated with the chosen batch designed to give her a daughter. A few weeks later, she discovered she was pregnant.
I thought it's going to be a girl and that's it. And people would say, what would you call the baby if it's a boy? And I'd think, oh, I don't know, but it's not going to be a boy, it's a girl. I know it.
You are conscious of the emotional risks that you're taking with your patients.
Yes.
One of the reasons I didn't choose to find out the sex of the baby when I was pregnant was because I was worried I would go into like a deep depression and no one would be able to get me out of it.
We don't want them to have an abortion in the event that they find they're carrying the wrong sex. And they have to sign a binding commitment to that effect. And if there's any problem with that, again, we just don't treat them.
On the day of the birth, everyone in the delivery room knew as Jo went into labour that she had paid to select a girl.
I think there was a bit of a silence and they said, I think someone said, who's going to be the one to tell her? It's a boy. And I can remember just putting that gas in the MOS back over my face, thinking, no, oh no, it can't be, it can't be.
What should have been a time of maternal joy became a moment of rejection.
They cleaned him up and brought him to me and said, look at him, he's gorgeous, just look at him. And I didn't even want to look at him, really. I mean, I think I was shell-shocked, really, at the time. I just thought, oh, no.
It's a powerful argument against designing babies. If children become commodities, what happens when you don't like what you've bought? Just like the Erickson method, Microsort is designed to divide up sperm into male and female. Instead of comparing their swimming ability, it compares their size. Female sperm are slightly larger than males, so what Microsort does is dip the sperm into fluorescent dye. The female sperm then glow more brightly and can be separated off using advanced computer software.
As a physician, being able to tell couples that this is a technology that will work for them has been very satisfying. It really has given them enormous opportunities.
Opportunities which are music to the ears of Jo Bastick. Despite everything that's happened, she's decided to try for a daughter again, this time with Microsort.
If I ever got a girl, I'd be so... Of course, I'd be in my glory if she'd want to do ballet and all the girly things, but the likelihood is that she'll want a bike, she'll want to wear jeans all the time, and of course, I mean, I'll go along with that, whatever. Doesn't really matter. I mean, it's the female bit that I'm interested in, just getting one of my own kind, and I'll never have that if I don't go for it.
There is now a way of choosing the kind of children you're going to have before the mother is even pregnant. Using test tube baby technology to create embryos in the lab, we can examine the genetic makeup of each one. It's science that allows a glimpse inside the stuff of life, to read a tiny portion of the 46 chromosomes and thousands of genes within them that determine what sort of baby the embryo would become. It's powerful science developed to fight genetic disease. And this is one of the first little girls the science brought into life. Ellen Sutherland was an 8-cell embryo created in a test tube when scientists checked out her genetics. Under a microscope, they examined her chromosomes to be sure she was female, then implanted her in her mother's womb. That was the only way they could guarantee the child was free of a deadly genetic inheritance.
Sweetie, don't give him a treat.
Okay, got a cup of tea?
Now, Ian and Kim Sutherland are about to undergo the process again. So even though Kim's not infertile, she's preparing her body for IVF. As before, she needs scientists to check her baby's chromosomes before embarking on a pregnancy.
I'm a carrier of haemophilia, and my twin sister and my brother had it. I've only known one in my lifetime, obviously my brother. I had a cousin who actually died through a bad bleed before I was born. And it's just the impact on the family, really, and the pain and the suffering. And we just decided that we wouldn't have a child. We would never let a child of ours suffer like that.
To be sure their baby doesn't suffer from haemophilia, they need to know it's a girl. Any boy would have a 50-50 chance of having the disease. And thanks to the extraordinary science that gave them Ellen, pioneered at London's Hammersmith Hospital, they shouldn't have to. 3 years on, and Kim and Ian are back as patients at the hospital's world-famous IVF unit. It was here that Professor Robert Winston first developed a way of ensuring babies are born free of certain genetic diseases.
There are a number of diseases which kill children in infanthood or babyhood, which are sex-linked. And we had a number of parents who'd lost a child, and so we used in vitro fertilization. We stimulated a large number of eggs, perhaps 6 or a dozen of them, fertilized them, and then took one cell away, looked to see whether or not that embryo was a male or female, and then only put back a female embryo back into the uterus.
Using a glass tube thinner than a human hair, scientists gently suck one of the cells away from the embryo. The evidence is that with a 3-day-old embryo, this won't do any damage. Only later do the cells develop specific roles within the body.
It is a bit spooky, but then in my mind, I just have this visual, you know, whenever anybody says embryo, I don't think of sort of a baby, it's just a massive cell, which is what it is, a massive cell. So it's just odd to us, it's just it's alien to us, isn't it?
With a single cell now removed from the embryo, stage 2 begins. Inside this microscopic dot are hidden all the secrets of the baby the embryo would become. A few of them we can now unlock. It's the beginning of a long and agonizing wait for Kim and Ian. If the tests reveal healthy female embryos, 2 of them will immediately be transferred into Kim's uterus. In the lab, each cell is placed under a microscope and coloured markers isolate the individual chromosomes within it. It's part of the process called pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, or PGD. Kim and Ian simply want to know some of the embryos don't carry the Y chromosome, which means they're destined to be boys.
What does a boy look like under the microscope, and what does a girl look like?
Well, we're not looking at a boy or a girl, we're looking at the individual cells, but a male cell will have a little pink dot, which is the Y chromosome, and a little blue dot, which is the X chromosome. And if we see two copies of the X chromosome, we know it's a female. If we see an X and a Y chromosome, then we know it's a male.
These coloured dots allow us a glimpse of a life that has yet to begin. Its sex, an aspect of its health. We can choose which embryos to select and which to reject. Back at home, the Sutherlands have something in their scrapbook that few couples in the world will ever see. Images of the two female embryos chosen to be transferred.
That's a much lighter picture.
But it wasn't quite the same as 3 years ago with Ellen. The science has moved on rapidly.
This is the embryos, obviously, before transfer for Ellen, or Ellen's cycle.
Ellen was the successful result of 2 female embryos transferred. That was all the couple knew. But this time they were given a raft of information about each embryo.
There were 2 genetically correct, if you like, males which had to be disregarded. 2 females that were above average quality, which is what they did transfer, but there were a couple of queries on the chromosomes which we had to discuss. And the rest of the embryos had pretty major chromosome defects or abnormalities. This is the ones that we've had transferred now.
New tests revealed that both female embryos had potential chromosome problems. One looked unlikely to implant, the other had a small risk of a birth defect. Kim was advised that if she became pregnant, she should have a scan.
However low the risk, even though we're told with, what they transferred, very, very small risk, to me it's a risk. It's pretty major. It is the old cliche of ignorance is bliss. But with Ellen, we were just told there were 2 good quality embryos put back, and I must admit it was exciting. Even though only 4 years ago they didn't test for the chromosomes. If this cycle they'd not tested for the chromosomes, we'd be none the wiser. It would just be 2 good quality females put back. So, yeah, we know a bit too much, really.
They will soon be testing for even more chromosomes. And the likelihood is that through these processes that none of the embryos will appear to be perfect. And I think one of the debates they're starting to have is, how much information should they give out, and when should you decide to play God, I suppose? When do you decide?
And the level of information is growing all the time. Pre-implantation diagnosis doesn't just tell an embryo's sex or spot problems in the chromosomes. It can now probe deeper and even check out individual genes.
There are about 5,000 genetic disorders which are caused either by a single gene defect or by a major chromosomal abnormality, and most of them happen to be fatal. A few of them aren't, but they cause very, very serious disease. And they are at least potentially avoidable by using pre-implantation genetic diagnosis.
As research advances, so more and more diseases can be spotted using genetic diagnosis. Many are rare but fatal conditions that kill in infancy. But some of the tests show up problems that might not occur until later life, if at all. They've now developed a way of spotting some rare genetic codes which mean a person is more likely to develop breast cancer or colon cancer.
I would much rather know that I didn't have colon cancer and didn't have a much higher risk than average of colon cancer than if I'd been an embryo that did have that. I don't have any problem with that. It seems to me to be perfectly reasonable.
In theory, it can't be a bad thing. I mean, if somebody said, here are 2 embryos, this one is likely to develop breast cancer, this one isn't, then obviously you're not going to go for the one that is. So I don't like the idea of too many tests, but at the end of the day, I suppose it does make sense. Medical science is going to move forward anyway. It's constantly moving forward, and I think you've just got to go with the flow, really.
When do we choose ignorance over information? Because some scientists predict we'll soon be able to screen our embryos for things much less serious than disease.
But people do worry there's a slippery slope, that you'll say, well what about, there's an embryo here and we're worried that we've detected the gene that means it will get asthma, or it'll be bald, or it'll be short-sighted.
Yeah, well, of course, the gene for asthma doesn't, at the moment, exist, and it's probably many, many different genes. Baldness certainly is many, many genes. And when you get onto the more desirable things, when you start talking seriously about things like beauty or intelligence, then we know that these are caused by a whole lot of factors interacting, and it's very unlikely that we'll ever be able to screen for them. Doubtless, when and if we're able to screen for them, society may have to sit down and think very hard about it, like it needs to think about the motor car, the jet engine, nuclear engineering, modern farming, and a whole range of other issues, insecticides. I mean, it just becomes yet another problem with technology.
Meet two small boys, Dakota and Tyler. Dakota was designed by his parents to be brainy. Tyler was chosen by his parents to be healthy. Dakota's parents went to a sperm bank specializing in Nobel Prize winners, the repository for germinal choice. Tyler's parents went to a health center that sold embryos with a full health profile attached, the Cooper Clinic, because Donna and Steve Owen wanted a child free of the medical problems in each of their family histories.
Part of the reason is his health background and my parents' health. And we had so much stuff with diabetes and heart that this was a great light. I mean, we could go through and pick perfect.
He's a good baby, isn't it now? He really hasn't cried much at all.
Donna and Steve were able to pick perfect by scrutinizing the health backgrounds of the sperm and egg donors who created Tyler as an embryo. The baby has no genetic link to his parents at all, but they're confident that the genetic inheritance they've brought him will give him a better life.
So you would actually have preferred to have done it this way than have a natural baby?
Oh, yeah, because we watched his mother and my parents both with health problems that now we have to deal with that I know he doesn't have to. Oh, yeah, this was much better. I mean, because we were able, and this is, you know, if you think about it, all the people that have cancer and pass cancer on and all that stuff, we can stop it.
Some people have other priorities. Sandra Fuller's husband was infertile. They needed a sperm donor. So they went looking for the very best genetic qualities they could buy. And intelligence was top of their list.
Both knew we not only wanted a child, but we wanted to be very careful about the genetics of the child. It's just like anybody, you want the best for your children, and if you have the chance to go with someone with an 80 IQ or 120 IQ, I don't think any parent wouldn't prefer their children to have a higher IQ.
So she bought the best genetics, buying sperm from a bank that specialized in highly intelligent donors. Sandra believes she was simply giving her children the best possible start in life.
Dakota has very good mathematics skills. Samantha already looks like she's very musically inclined, loves to dance around the house and sing at a year and a half. So I think we do kind of look for those things and think, oh, is she going to be the next Mozart or Beethoven? And is Dakota going to be the next, you know, mathematical genius? But they're little kids, just like any other little kid, and usually people don't know the difference.
Just look at what parents do for their children today in terms of environmental advantages. People who have money give their children all sorts of environmental advantages. And when it becomes possible to give their children genetic advantages, I just don't see how we can stop these people from doing it.
In California's Silicon Valley, they've been working on a way to decipher the genes of a single person, to unravel the almost infinite implications of someone's genetic makeup. What they've come up with may prove to be the biggest thing since the invention of the computer chip. It's the gene chip.
All characteristics of the human body are determined by genes. Body type, hair color, and our predisposition to disease are controlled by our genes. Affymetrix has developed high-density gene chip DNA probe arrays, which will create new opportunities in genetic research and molecular diagnostics. However,
what this means is that instead of examining our embryos for a single defect which might cause disease, we may one day be able to get a computer readout of their entire genetic profile. Everything. How they'd look, how they'd feel, how they'd think. The gene chip would allow us to know our children intimately before they were born.
We are producing a new generation of tools specifically designed for acquiring and analyzing large amounts of complex genetic information.
With the DNA chip that Affymatrix has created, you'll be able to look at all 70,000 genes at the same time, because this little chip will have little detectors on it that will tell you simultaneously every single one of the genes in the complete genome of each embryo. And so you're not going to just look at each 3 or 4 or 5 embryos and look at one gene. You're going to look at the complete set of 70,000 genes, and all of these embryos have complete information on what these embryos are going to turn into as children in terms of their genes.
Imagine a world where you could change or improve the genes of your future children. Scientists are even working on how to do that. Right now, they can isolate a good version of a gene from human tissue and then manufacture multiple copies which can be used to correct faulty genes. They're already trying it on adults. At this London hospital, they're using gene therapy on patients suffering from cystic fibrosis. Nicholas is simply inhaling an extra gene, a normal, healthy version of the damaged gene that's causing his disease. The trial is still in its early stages, but the signs are encouraging.
You don't actually feel anything when you take it. It's just like a normal inhaler, like you saw me using earlier. You don't actually feel it. It's only afterwards that you feel slightly different. Your breathing's a lot easier. It makes it a lot more easy to breathe. And
So it works?
Oh yeah, you can almost feel it. Yeah, you can feel the drug going in. So it's quite spectacular.
The doctor who pioneered the treatment, Professor Duncan Geddes, believes that what they're trying out on Nicholas may open a whole new chapter in medical science.
The idea is very simple. A gene is a chemical like a drug. It just happens to be rather bigger. And the challenge is to find a way of getting it into the right parts of the body and making it work when it's there.
At the University of California in San Diego, they have already taken the science a step further. Scientists here are experimenting with genetic manipulation. They can put healthy genes actually inside the DNA of mice, which carry a genetic disease, a treatment which they're already successfully using to treat newborn mice. Next, they'll try it even earlier, on mice embryos, and if that proves successful, human embryos could be next.
The difficult part now is to learn which of these many different approaches to introducing genes is going to work in humans. I think the only hope is, the expectation is that you see in these mice proof that a genetic manipulation can bring about a sort of body-wide correction of a genetic defect.
This is genetic engineering, is it? I know you don't like the phrase.
I don't like the phrase, but it is, to the extent that the phrase means we're altering the genetic composition of an animal, yes, it's genetic engineering.
So having figured out how genes work and how to make them, we could, in theory, go inside an embryo and add genes to design the kind of baby we want.
My wife and I could never have a star basketball player for a child. It just would be impossible. Now, if I wanted to have a basketball player, I could add in a gene or a set of genes that would increase the height of the child that I would have. In fact, there is no limitation at all to the kinds of genes that you could add in to an embryo. There's absolutely no limitation. So if people have the money, they can give their children a new heritage that their children would not have gotten otherwise.
What are the implications of germline engineering like that?
The implications are absolutely astounding. It means that we gain control over our own evolution. It means that we, as human society as a whole, take control over our destiny. It means that we can produce human beings that would not have happened naturally.
This isn't a fantasy. Even the most respected scientists in the field concede that soon we will be able to genetically design our kids.
It's disingenuous if I say that the only thing that we envision is eliminating disease. That's not quite accurate, because I think we are saying that many other traits of humans are genetically determined. We'll know the genes, and we'll want to probably in the long run make some changes in them. Ability to learn, the quality of our memory and so on. Maybe height and strength and personality to some extent. It's not the driving force at the moment, but it will become more and more attractive in the future.
How far would you go, though, if they could at the same time ensure that your son didn't have haemophilia, but also was going to be quite athletic and quite clever? Would you have those genes replaced?
I don't like the idea of that. I think you've got to draw a line somewhere. I think we would probably just settle for in our case, a non-haemophiliac child. I wouldn't disregard it totally, but I'd certainly initially, I mean, we'd have to think about it a lot more, but I don't like the idea of that. I think that's messing with, well, we are messing with nature, aren't we? But there is a line, and that's where we draw our line, I think.
Ideally, everybody wants a beautiful baby, a beautiful child and an intelligent child, but I wouldn't go as far as that. I just want a daughter, and however she is, I just want a healthy little girl, and that's it.
They're going to be, in demanding this, they're going to have the money to pay $100,000 to have a child born with a particular set of genes.
A technological marketplace that allows us to design our children. But how would we use it? It's possible that babies born this year will be able to create their children in the image of our icons. But equally, embryos which show up any problems would either be rejected or altered. Many key figures of this century might never have been selected if they'd been conceived in the next. Even one of the greatest minds of our time might have been discarded.
I can't want to be a genetically different person, because then I wouldn't be me. But it doesn't mean I want other people to suffer motor neuron disease.
Mankind is moving ever closer to the point where it can control its own evolution, super-evolution, where the genetically modified babies of each generation massively outperform their parents, at least for those who can afford it.
Genetic engineering won't make a uniformly perfect race. In fact, it will increase differences between the improved few and the unimproved many.
Once the wealthy class gives genetic supplements to their children will automatically pass those on to their children and add more in. And at each generation, you could have an accumulative effect where the genetic enhancements grow larger and larger and larger, and only the people who have money are going to be able to do this to their children. So you have a line of human beings that's going to diverge apart from whom I call the naturals, the people who don't have any genetic enhancements.
It's a vision of the brave new world predicted right through this century, the creation of a super race as different from us as we are from the apes.
Genetic engineering offers us not only a dazzling future, but a terrifying potential for misuse. What will we do with this power?
Each stage of the science that brought us to this point has been celebrated as a milestone in our ability to prevent disease. But science has a way of moving faster than debate or legislation, and even the scientists themselves are nervous of the power of their achievements.
I wouldn't want to be in that world. I think that's the horrible, horrible outcome of all of this technology. This is why I'm so ambivalent. In each individual case, all you're trying to do is help a child be happier and more successful. And what's wrong with that? It's only when you look at the consequences over all of society where it becomes horrible.
When you're at home at night and you're thinking about this stuff, do you feel uneasy ever? Do you feel concerned about just what you're playing around with here?
I'm not worried so much about deliberate abuse, deliberate misuse, as I am about the mistakes that will occur and the wishes that we hadn't gone down a particular path. If there's anything that we've learned about genetics, is that the technology hits us like a ton of bricks before we're ready for it. It will come, and it will come probably unexpectedly quickly.
I think some kind of self-designed evolution is bound to happen. So there's no good wringing our hands about it. The best we can do is try to guide it. In a way, I welcome genetic engineering. It means biological life forms have a chance of keeping ahead of electronic ones.